Will you pray with me? Come, Holy Spirit, and be present with us in this space. For if you are with us, then nothing else matters. I ask this in the name of your beloved Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Claudia. Claudia is a little-known character in the Passion narrative, yet her story is intriguing. The Bible does not mention her by name. The apocryphal but persuasive Gospel of Nicodemus does. In the Bible, we have to dig deep to even find her story. The Gospels of Mark, Luke, and John neglect to mention her. She makes a brief appearance only in the Gospel of St. Matthew. Why she doesn't get much press is a mystery, because Claudia is the only recorded person in history to speak up against the decision to kill Jesus. And we know others were probably thinking it, but she is the only one to just come right out and say it. Now, women in biblical times knew their place. Interfering in their husband's work was unheard of. So when Claudia sends a messenger to interrupt the trial of Jesus, her husband, Pontius Pilate, is more than frustrated. Sitting on the judge's bench, the messenger barges in and whispers in his ear, "Your wife Claudia sent me. She says, have nothing to do with this righteous man, Jesus. She had a dream about him and has suffered terribly all day." Pilate is given the option of distancing himself from the mess he's been handed, but he ignores his wife's counsel, and the trial continues. Christians throughout the world, Sunday after Sunday, announce our collective memory of Pontius Pilate. He suffered under Pontius Pilate. By repeating the creed, we agree with church tradition, and rarely do we give Pontius Pilate's role a second thought. We certainly have no sympathy for him. But Claudia's warning adds a thread of intrigue to the narrative. Tensions are building. The Jewish priests are fed up with Jesus and his indifference to their law and their authority. They want him out of the picture. Jewish authorities arrest Jesus in the Kidron Valley, and leaving the dirty work to someone else, they take him to Pilate's headquarters. The fourth evangelist tells us the Passion story with Jesus in complete control. There's nothing he doesn't know and nothing he can't do. The interchange between Pilate and Jesus and Pilate and the Jews is captivating. Pilate asked the religious authorities, "What charges are you bringing against this man?" They answered defensively, "If he were not a criminal, we would not have handed him over to you." Sounds suspicious. Sounds as if Jesus is brought to Pilate on some trumped up charges. Because Pilate knows of no Roman law that Jesus has broken. So he tries turning Jesus back over to the religious leaders. "Take him and judge him according to your law." But that doesn't work. They say, we are not permitted to put him to death. Now that's true. Pilate is the only man in the city with the authority to pass a death sentence. But we have to wonder, is the death penalty the only option? No reasonable sentence with a possibility of parole? No lifetime of solitary confinement? Just death. It's obvious the religious leaders are determined that Christ is to be crucified. Pilate goes back into the palace and summons Jesus and asks him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus asks, "Is that your own idea, or did others talk to you about me?" "Am I a Jew?" Pilate replies. "Your own people and chief priest handed you over to me. What is it you have done?" Jesus answers somewhat cryptically, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish leaders. But now, my kingdom is from another place." "You are a king then," said Pilate. Jesus answers, "You say I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into this world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." Pilate walks away asking, "What is truth?" Pilate knows something of truth, but is not open to hearing all that truth demands. Jesus says, "Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." Implicit in the statement is a challenge to Pilate. Listen to my voice. Be on the side of truth. Pilate, frustrated he ever got caught up in the mess, goes several rounds with the Jews to get to the truth. Trying to stay neutral and cautious, perhaps, of Claudia's warning, 3 times he tells them, "I find no case against him." And 3 times they send him back to Jesus, effectively saying, "That's not quite the truth we're looking for. So try again." And here the plot thickens. Pilate may not discuss the truth with Jesus, but Pilate does know the truth. Pilate knows Jesus is an innocent man, and he poses no threat to the empire. And Pilate tells the Jews the truth again and again and again. Pilate even tries to reason with the mob, and the mob is just determined for Jesus to die. While Pilate's sense of justice tells him the man was innocent, he still couldn't convince them. So they said, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate was at a loss and simply did not know what to do. Then the religious leaders hit Pilate in his weak spot. "If you let this man go, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who claims to be a king opposes Caesar." Pilate, not giving even the slightest impression that he opposes the emperor, hands Jesus over to be crucified. On that dark Friday afternoon, God's truth was on a collision course with the world's power and ambition and hate. And the results were devastating. If only Pilate had known how his actions would haunt him. He will forever be remembered as the man who sentenced the innocent Son of God to death. And it wasn't because he was power hungry, and it wasn't because he wanted Jesus dead. He did not. Pilate's only wrongdoing is he was weak. He ignored the truth while standing face to face with the embodiment. He surrendered to the powers of this world and let the truth of God die on a cross. Truth was on trial. Truth was crucified. Truth was buried. Will truth ever live again? Or a better question might be, if truth lives again, will we embrace it and hold on to it for dear life? Or will we once again allow it to die a slow death? If God gives us another chance, what will we do with it? Amen.